Routine. Man, I feel like I've changed the way I see routine, like the past few weeks, I think. Let's go back to the childhood kind of moment. I don't remember what I was and how I felt when I was little, but all I can say is I was studying and I don't remember why. I don't remember why. I was studying a lot. I liked people. I liked to express myself, but then I found myself in a lot of situations when I wanted to be friends with people, but people didn't want to be friends with me because I think it's normal when you don't know how to behave in the way that is appropriate or acceptable, or people won't freak out when you're there. And I never thought there is something wrong with me, like, never thought. But, of course, as we all learn from the environment that we're in, I felt that it was not very safe to express myself, to share my thoughts, because they were always quite too much to other people. And throughout the years, I came to the conclusion that I am too much. I am not normal. That there's something wrong with me. And the good thing is that I learned to see something good in that. So I turned my weakness into power. I studied Japanese. I came to Japan. It all started when I was 13, and there was a particular moment in my study path when I started. I was 12, and I really wanted to be friends with this girl that was my ex-classmate. And she was not really interested in, like, me, okay? Easy. So I came to think that the reason why I studied Japanese was because one day she shared with me that she liked anime, and that was the moment that I was very opposed, let's say, to animation and to any other culture like K-pop or Japanese, any other thoughts, because it was quite sensitive period when people thought that whatever that you're connected with to any Asian culture makes you a weebo. And I was like, no, I'm not a weebo. And I was not. But then I just watched one anime, and that was purely because I wanted to be friends with her. And oh gosh, I'm so grateful, because look at me, I live in fucking Tokyo. But the reason why I watched it is because I wanted to be friends. I still couldn't get friends with her, but I heard the language and I was like, wow, that's probably what I want to do. So there was this moment when I applied to schools. It's like language courses of Spanish and Japanese. And I remember my mom was asking, whoa, why not Chinese? Chinese is such a prospective language. And I'm like, no, I don't want Chinese, I want Japanese. And then my destiny was basically decided by the fact that the Spanish group was like did not come to realization. So that a month later, in October, I joined the first group of the Japanese language classes. It was quite close to my school. And then ever since, like, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I think, yeah, not 17, but like 4 years, I've been studying Japanese there. And why I'm saying this is because, man, I got really crazy about it. I had a crazy, almost overwhelming to some people, routine that I built for myself because I was determined and I felt that there's something there. So I'm deliberately not saying this word, which I'm gonna say later in the video, but there's something quite big here. So I'm studying language, then I'm, doing a lot of different studies. I'm going to different sports, activities, curriculums, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But I was never, actually feeling emotionally fulfilled and happy at school, as I'd say a lot of people don't. But I thought I was fine because I was studying well. I looked at myself and I thought, wow, I'm doing great. I'm successful. I'm like getting good grades. I'm not in bad relationship with teachers. And basically, you know, on the other hand, like the teachers were my friends more than other people. And I remember spending my breaks, even 10-minute breaks, even 15-minute breaks. I remember going to the library and spending it there because I felt space. Like I felt safe there. I felt that I'm welcomed. I felt that there's space there. I was not particularly bullied. Like I was the person that would stand up for those who were bullied because I hated when people were bullying, and I got this like I've got some guts to say, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" And yeah, being the I don't know what you say how do you say it in English, but in Russian we say starosta is like the head, the representative of the class. Like I forgot the person that is like carrying around the book uh with marks and stuff. But anyway, I did feel like I was important in a way in terms of hierarchy and in terms of success of being a school student, but I definitely did not feel welcomed and like especially welcomed by those who I wanted to be friends with. Anyway, you know, back to the routine. I was really, really, really extremely dedicated to what I was doing. So it was languages, it was getting good grades because I knew already I wanted to go to Japan to study. And to me, the painful part was always like I was devoted to the routine. I didn't even think of it as a routine. But I remember doing this magic to my brain. I still remember when I watched tons of motivational videos, like all the wisdoms of all those who are coaches and all sorts of self-help, self-development type of thing. I filled my head with that type of content, let's say information, thinking it was the only one that would make sense in my life. And I was like, I didn't even think it was a routine because it was such a big goal to me. So it didn't even need to be built as a routine. So and I got what I wanted. I got where I had like where I was aiming. Now, I think I might have been desperate, and all of my attention was going there. That's why it was a good routine. But of course, no routine is a good routine unless it is done from your own desire, from your own maybe the place of compassion, but also desire to grow. To me, it was just pure pure desperation. I think, yeah, and lack of hope to what was surrounding me at the time, and on the other hand, all of the hope that was going into the future, into the plans of me going here and like having a better life here. And I didn't even know what was waiting here. Like I literally had no idea how I'm gonna live in Japan. But all I knew is that I'm gonna get that goddamn scholarship for 5 years, and I came, and I did, and I did it, and it required a lot of discipline, which I did. Now that was by far my biggest goal in life, my biggest dream, my biggest achievement. But it was 7 years ago, okay? So my relationship to the routine itself was awful for these like 7 years, okay? Awfulissimo. It was so bad. I cannot even explain how many times I've beaten myself up for starting something and literally dropping it a week later, even though I thought that would change my life. Like starting a gym, going there 3 times, and then paying the membership for the like 4 months. And during these 4 months, I would never go, and I would just like beat myself every day and say, "Yo, I mean, you're paying, you should go." And I did not. I still did not. Oh my god, during university, okay, it's kind of easier to lie to yourself and say, hey, I have so many things, blah, blah, blah. Now, when you're a person of the society, as Japanese say, shakaijin, the person of the society, literally, you have no excuses. You cannot say, oh, sorry, I was drinking till late. This is why I did not go to the gym. Well, a moment of confession. I've been working for 2 years, okay? I've been working for the same company for 2 years. And during these 2 years, I've realized that during university, my desire to be liberated from the society, from the capitalism, from the all this like whatever rhythms that are defining my life, and I want to free myself from, they have been just a noise. You know, they're just a noise. I hear a lot of people around me. I have been hearing a lot of people around me for these years, okay, saying, "Oh, the society is so wrong. Oh, the system is so wrong. The way the cities, the megapolis, like the greater areas, the biggest cities of the world, they work so wrong, blah 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 blah." And oh my god, there's so much narrative about it. There's so much populist, like I can't even find the right word for this. There's so much shit. There is so much talking and no action around lifestyle in the city and in the countryside, or when your life is defined by the rhythms of what's surrounding you, and when your life is defined by yourself. When I was studying at university, I was studying linguistics and second language acquisition and how to study languages better. My thesis was about how to enhance your self autonomous, let's say, language learning abilities, and how to I proposed in my thesis that if you combine language autonomy, so your autonomous skills as a learner, your mindfulness and your self-awareness about whatever's going on in your life, and how whether you know how to learn and what you're learning and why you're learning, so all the things, if you're aware of them, and a language advisor, not a teacher, not a leader or a guide who would guide you through language, but an advisor that would answer your questions along the way. So you combine all these three things, which I would like to talk about maybe in another video, because it's still an interesting point in myself, in my story, you know, which is quite tightly connected to discipline, by the way. I really was I was just mirroring what was, you know, kind of close to me. And I still remember the types of motivation in learners. Okay, there is instrumental, there is like intrinsic, extrinsic, there is whatever. I already forgot. But anyway, different types of motivations. But there are also, let's say, what your car is made of. What's driving your car? What's your gasoline, right? Motivation is your gasoline. Then what I'm about to talk about is the engine of your car, okay? You're driving a car, you have engine, you have gasoline, okay? Motivation is something that you need to refill. It just, disappears after a while. Then you need to refill, you need to rest, you need to remind yourself, you need to pay for that, okay? Motivation is not free. Then, engine is what moves your car, basically. That's what's running your car. You do need some maintenance, but at the same time, that's like the core. That's the core of your car. That's the engine. So, there are two types of engine. First, self-driven, basically autonomous or non-dependent on the environment. And the second one is dependent on the environment. So non-autonomous or driven by the outside. That was such a glimpse to my own story when I learned about it at university. Because I always thought that, being dependent on somebody is really weak and just not acceptable, like looking on after all those motivational speakers, coaches, all those influencers, and like those who have learned 300 languages on their Anki website on all alone in 3 months, all those things. Well, dude, it took some time for me to realize that it's not all purpose. It's not all ponies and unicorns for some people. Anyway, during university, I thought that I'm super independent. That I'm super like, oh, I decided I'm gonna do this and I'm like sticking to the goal because I have positive experience in my routines, right? In achieving my goals. But then it turns out that I actually don't really like being independent. Like, I'm actually quite dependent. I am non-autonomous engine, okay? I need some external construction, some external engine for me to drive my car. So that could be a class that I would signed up for, and I would come and they would help me get in touch with the language. There would be a task, a homework. That would be a person, a body, like a language exchange body. That would be an person, like in-person class that I would need to, I would not do makeup just because I wanted to. I would do makeup because I needed to go out. So because I have a purpose, I would do things. Because I have external, it's not a cage, it's like a skeleton, something that would hold me, I would do things. And it extrapolates, it basically overrides everything in my life. So because I have a full-time job, I am not starving. I have no idea whether I would have been starving or not if I didn't have this full-time job. So because I have the full-time job, or because I have classes, because I have a part-time job, because I have something, because somebody invited me, because there is a group class that I cannot skip, because I made an appointment and I cannot skip on that, I would do things, okay? Then, for these 2 years that I've been at a full-time, position and a travel agent, man, back at university, I had an illusion that I'm so free, that I'm so independent, that I'm free to choose whatever I want to do with my life, right? That it's such an illusion. Now, going into a full-time position, it had a full-blown effect on me because I could not escape. I could not just quit because I didn't like it. I mean, I did quit one job because I couldn't stand being there, but that did not make the problem evaporate because I needed to find another job. So I had to think, okay, how do I make myself stay there? Now, when I was at university, I had more visible freedom, to choose another like part-time job, another bar to work for, or another, I don't know. I had a lot of students that I was teaching languages to, and it was great. There was this like flavor of variety in my life. And I was living in a share house and another share house, and I changed and I changed again. Like once a year, I did change things. Then I decided that I'm not really great. So like I really was always doing something new. New, more and more new knowledge, new knowledge, knowledge. So novelty, another key word in this topic. Next, back to the thing. I am at a full-time position. I'm coming to the office every day. I see the same faces. I almost do the same thing. Thanks God it was not completely the same, because making itineraries for people is, yeah, it does sound quite similar, but honestly, it's great that there's variety. So it made me realize that I craved liberty without discipline, thinking that discipline is a cage. It's like you are like, because I'm really bad with routines, I started to think that I have ADHD. Like the disorder, the attention deficit, okay. I never thought I had it, because I remember I was like hyper focused, and I didn't have enough knowledge to understand what is ADHD, okay. I didn't have enough knowledge to connect things, because you know, it's quite individual, it's quite personal and unique. So there's no like, oh, you have 37.5 and more, then you have coronavirus. No. It's more about the patterns of your life, the patterns that you actually fit in the in your normal life. And no matter how much you know about other people, and like you have general knowledge about things, you would never understand. I would never understand I have ADHD. Okay? So during university, I had a personal counselor, and we talked, and I didn't really want to, even think that I could have a label. So we were just like talking normal father mother stuff, whatever, on those childhood traumas. And then in the end of my like university, when I was submitting my thesis, it was just about the time when I talked to my therapist. And she noticed that, I might have some ADHD, not glimpse, but like I might have something to do the way I think, the way I overthink, the way I hyperanalyze, the way I get a really like addicted. I get a really crazy craving of novelty, but still like trying to cling to some routine. It's it's just, she mentioned it to me, and I was like, I was so happy already, and I was like, no, come on, I'm good. I don't need anything. I'm good. I don't even want to think that I have ADHD. Okay. Little did I know. A year and a half later, after I worked at my job, okay, after I realized that I cannot really do the office, but I cannot do without office. So this contradiction has been killing me these past 2 years, okay? And like, you cannot just escape. You cannot wake up and like 2 hours early and study a language because you just want it, because you don't have energy. It was such a hard transition period for me. So my biggest, let's say, trial and error maybe during this period was trying to adapt to this new routine of being an adult and going to a 9 to 5, 9 to 6 job. Being an adult does not mean that you need to go to 9 to 6 job. It means you're taking responsibility for your life, which I did. So I'm making my own money. I am taking care of myself, but it was not always like that. So When I started working, I was excited because I'm going to be stable, I'm going to be nice, blah, 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 while some part of my head was like, fuck, you're going to be doing the same thing and going to the same thing 5 times a week. No! And it's like 8 hours of my time, even 9, because you cannot escape really during the lunch break. So that's been crazy. That's been killing me. Again, the routine. Fast forward to a couple months ago. I got so low. I was not, like a year ago, I got out of a relationship which I was quite heavy about. And then, so back to like 6 months ago, I was not pushing myself to do anything. Before I used to. And that's how I used to like get my things done. That's how my routine used to work. Now I was so tired because the only thing that I had to keep was my job. I decided, okay, the only routine I'm gonna have is to go to my job. That's it. As long as I'm doing that, I'm okay. Fuck that. I cannot be fucking my brain anymore. No. So all the overthinking, all the attempts to push myself to be better without truly understanding why and for what and how, that would actually drain me, you know, I quit. For the past 6 months, my life looked like hell because my personal hell, okay? I would just wake up 30 minutes before the job would start. I would, you know, hectically get ready, not even put any makeup, sometimes not even brush my teeth. Oh my god. So then, depending on the day, if it's raining, I'm not by bicycle, so I can't. I was late to my work, or if it's not, then I'm like rushing by my bike to my workplace, and I'm there almost 1 or 2 minutes late, which is not a bad thing for me. So once I stopped pushing myself to be perfect and like to try to maintain what is supposed to be maintained, I noticed like I'm releasing things, and my true self started to show. My true self is late, ridiculously rude to people sometimes because I'm blunt, because I care about being direct and like sincere and truth and stuff. So to me, I especially living in a Japanese society, like I cannot even bother about having this omotenashi thing, like or tatemae, you know, honne tatemae, the one that the face that they use in the society, and the face that you use like to explain the true thoughts, right? So expressing the thoughts was, you know, I stopped just, you know, pushing myself to be someone else, and then my true colors started to show, and like I was contradicting myself so much. I came to the point that I needed a routine, but I couldn't maintain it. And I was like, oh, because I cannot maintain a routine, then I don't have it. I will not have it. I won't like need it, right? So I ended up as a person with 0 routines. Like my routines were scrolling, eating fast food, and not really good things. So you might understand what. Anyway, I was not drinking, which is good. I was not smoking, nothing, no. My brain habits have become the lowest maintenance that I have ever had in my life. So I was over consuming all the videos, all the other people's lives. I was basically like lying in this bed with my clothes really entirely spread in my room, like not washed, then the dishes would stay maybe 2 weeks unwashed. I would not cook for myself. I would not do anything. I would not clean. I would not change my sheets for like months. Okay. And I didn't feel bad about it. I have no idea why. So the routine of me not having a routine was liberating, because I came to hate it so much that I would never have it in my life again. So it all comes to this point when 6 months ago I came back to my counselor and we talked, and we decided to proceed with the thought that I might have ADHD. So I go and I take a test. And it seems like everything that I had in my life is explained by the diagnosis. And I was like, wow, that makes sense. Cool. Inherently, I really hate like having any label, any diagnosis, because it doesn't really, help you be better. It's like, oh, I have ADHD. I don't have to do shit. No. So that's what I used to think. That's why I was not, I was stuck, basically. Now, fast forward. Okay, I'm not going to speak really, like a lot about it, but ADHD explains my lifestyle. I get a better understanding of how my brain could work. I change my mind, my mindset, my shit, like the brain shifts towards the idea that I just run on a different, like, engine. So neurodivergent is basically how the brain perceives dopamine. Okay? It's in a different way. It's not as neurotypical brain. I get to learn more about it. It explains even more. And I was like, wow, so I was neurodivergent all the time and I didn't know about it. Yay. That's why I was so stressed. And then something extraordinary happens. I decide to go and take a brain scan, like an electroencephalography. So it's like when you have the brain waves registered, basically, and then yeah, it's the brainwave test. And the doctor says that I have a tendency to ADHD and to autism. At that point, I thought, I'm good. Like, fucking autism, I have zero knowledge about autism. I have zero knowledge about it, the way that it could combine, it could coexist. But it explained perfectly what I am and why I am not functioning well. Because, as I said earlier in the video, I cannot function well without a routine. But I cannot function well in a routine too. Fuck. What is that something that explains this, So, there we go. It's called ADHD. It's a diagnosis that is not official, by the way, but still, I hope one day it will become official, because once it dawned on me, I was free like a bird. I stopped blaming myself for not being able to maintain a routine, because this is how my brain works. I stopped. There is nothing that could potentially explain this better than ADHD. Even though they say it's just a strong tendency, right? Still, it's amazing how I got liberated from my own thoughts, from my own judgment of myself. I had to learn that I'm just a different person to myself. And I noticed what was the prison that I built for myself in my head. And this prison made me live in hell for a year. Yeah. So, understanding that I just work differently, my brain works differently, function differently, that I need to learn how to be friends with myself now, what to do, how to live, what to stop to blame myself about, what to, incorporate. So, because I was just, quite influenced by the idea that I don't want to have any routines. I didn't even notice that what I was doing, like scrolling and not having a clean apartment, not washing my dishes, was also routine. Like, that was my everyday. And I didn't think that that was my routine. Okay? Because the word routine is a dangerous one to those who don't like routines. So, slowly, little by little, it's just, I started to hate it. To hate it so much that I couldn't just maintain this anymore. I cannot even explain when and how and under what conditions it happened. It's just, one day you wake up and you're like, fuck, I don't like it. No. And then you suddenly just get this perspective. Wow. But I don't have to live like this. And then when I was 17 or 16, that I needed to study like subjects that I didn't really like physics and chemistry and all those things, I was like, I need to trick my brain in a way that I like chemistry or in a way that I like physics. And it worked. I got really good grades. Why don't I try it now? So I trick myself in a way that I like routines. Even though it's kind of making me suffocate sometimes because, well, if I'm suffocating, I actually need oxygen. So what is my oxygen? What is this something that I'm so much craving that I cannot let go of? Okay, why am I looking at social media so much? Because I need something new. Because I am in this dopamine loop. Because this is my routine that I'm used to. Because this is rewarding. And all of those things that people share on the internet about why we should quit social media and stuff. I don't think we should quit social media. I think I should limit my consumption. I should create more. I should consume actual books and not the compilation of summaries of those books. No book talks. No. So it's just like you wake up and you're like, I don't like it. I don't like this routine of blaming myself for doing or not doing things. And you just feel suddenly so free from your own judgment. And you notice I have never, ever since the phrase where I mentioned the diagnosis, it stopped being actually important. When my family and my friends heard about me being diagnosed, they got kind of almost scared about it. Scared by the fact that they have to deal with something like this, And I was like, but it doesn't matter, it doesn't change anything. That's just a great milestone of mine to understand how I function And I'm just sharing this with you. It has nothing to do with you or anyone. So that has shown me how judgment fogs people's brains. So if they don't know something, or they're driven by the stereotypes, by how other people's views and like points of view and opinions, how they shape our thinking. Yo, I was astounded, honestly. So what is true to me is that this diagnosis released my wings, because I was chained up. I was in my own cage, and this small little word, ADHD, just opened my cage, and I stopped. I noticed that I was not acting because I had so much pressure to myself, and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't go to the gym because even though I was paying for it like for 5 past months, and I quit like last month, finally, because I didn't want to pay. But I was not going, even though I thought that I needed to go, because this is a gym, this is like your health, you need to take care of yourself, blah blah blah. But then I simply realized, fuck, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I realized with this small little thing that what I can't like, I can't make into routine. That's why people say, make routines that are your own. What people say is just, I mean, some sort of people, okay? Some sort of nice people. What people say is right, but it's too generic. It's too summarized. Where's the breakdown? The breakdown you need to figure out by yourself. So I just shared my breakdown of how I figured out the way to routines that I'm unlocking right now for myself. I'm gonna share someday. But right now I'm building some routines and I'm excited. I'm excited to wake up for them. It's first time in a year that I'm excited to just build something new, to have a different routine. The better routine that I actually want to have. I have read 120 pages of the Japanese book in a few days, like in these past 3-4 days that I was in Hokkaido that I was going to. And I've set a limit to my phone social media use, 30 minutes a day, just to check messages, and sometimes just like get there. And I've never felt so satisfied by and like captivated by this story, because I never was a person of the book. I was always like people person or like internet person. So I was learning on my languages without actually books and stuff. So anyway, the story here is that I'm excited to encounter this routine that I have decided for myself, and I don't want to share with anybody because I don't want to teach anybody how things could work better, how, like, what books you should read to be better, what time you should wake up to be better, how many liters of water you have to drink to be better, to feel better, what to like listen to in the morning, and like what to do with your glutes if you want to grow them. Jesus Christ, decide by yourself, dude. And if you don't know, try, make mistakes, and try again, and understand for yourself. That's it. Routine is nothing but you trying to know what works for you. That's just this. And I feel so tired. of these years of me blaming myself for not understanding what routine is, then I was thinking that routine is something perfect, something that like really cool, nice people do, and like they're showing this clean girl aesthetics and blah 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 blah. 8 billion people in the world. How come there is a perfect routine, dude? Everybody is different. Everybody's different. Yes, there are self-help books. Please don't let them be your routine. Your routine is you understanding what is true to you. And I'm on my way. I came from Hokkaido, that I was in for 4 days. So yeah, for the past 4 days I was out of Tokyo. I was visiting my grandma. I got reconnected with nature, you know, when the light's out at 7 p.m. and you can't be on your phone because you have to be in the living room with them chatting and eating the melon or drinking beer with all of them, and obachan, you know, the granny style. The speed is so drastically different. So my routine that I want to keep from Hokkaido is controlling my own time. I was waking up at a certain time of the day without any. I could have slept more, but I was waking at a certain time of the day. I was having breakfast right away. I was helping. I was washing the dishes. I was flossing. I was stretching. I haven't moved my body since last year. Like, I don't look bad, but my body feels awful. So I went to get into more like sports and moving my body because I want it, you know. So going out to the nature, not connecting, it's like even connecting to nature is such a weird routine. We are a part of nature, dude. And we choose to live in this box for our dreams, which I think is legitimate because we're here for a reason. Like, we're in big cities for a reason, right? But then, to me, to restore my heart, to restore my rhythms, and to get closer to nature, because I'm not an independent one. I am dependent one. I depend on what surrounds me. I need to control what I depend on. And that's what my routine will be built on. I'm bringing this one insight. What I control is how I spend my time. And it's the most precious way to have to build a routine. My routine is my time. And I'm not letting it get lost in the reels, the scrolling, and watching videos. I can watch videos as long as I'm consciously there. If I want to read, I'll read. But I'm going to choose reading over scrolling. I'm going to be more aware of the moment that I'm losing my energy, that I'm flushing my energy into something. So I'll update you about the routines. So far, the ADHD thing has nothing to do with my life anymore because I don't require myself to be perfect anymore. I don't require myself to have a routine that as normal people could do. So it's scattered, but it's still my routine. Hope it works, you know. I think it works. I think it is already working because I'm feeling much better. And I'll update you again, folks.